Kowalski, and I'm here today with
Justin DeClue.
And
Did you forget your name again, Colin?
no, I was gonna come up with some funny joke, but never mind.
just make the predator noise.
You were Predator.
I was gonna do
Snick Cunningham.
Colin Cunningham.
And today we're talking about a famous sequel to a very popular movie, Predator 2. I feel like this movie should have like a subtitle like Predator 2 Hot Time in the City or something like that.
I think they ripped it off like a Dark Horse comic called Urban Jungle or something like that. There is
That's
literally
cool.
a million Dark Horse Concrete Jungle Predator series. So
Never read any of those things.
Isn't the Predator the one like that's always crossing over with other major?
he's met
had Aliens
Batman
versus
3
Predator.
times.
Yeah, Batman versus Predator.
Now that's just ridiculous.
pretty cool.
Third time's the charm.
Well, this one had I think one of the best taglines on the poster. It's he's in town with a few days to kill.
That's a great
That is
tagline. Now, this was a movie that a lot of people may be going, hey, Predator 2 is not bad. But for a long time, like when I was growing up, Predator 2 was hated.
I did not like this when I
Really?
first saw it in the theater.
Because honestly, my opinion is the only strike against it is that it pales in comparison to the first one. But I think it's really, really great on its own merits.
Yes.
But I just love that first one so much. You can't help but compare them, you know?
I think I'm comparing them. I'm comparing like Alien and Aliens, and I love this movie now. Like I love it. It's just like grown on me, and it's exactly what I want in a sequel. It's sort of taken like the original as like a jumping off point, throwing it all into like, you know, a new location, new characters, and just sort of like turning it on its head with like a completely different vibe than the first one.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good example of how to make a sequel that's just not an exact carbon copy.
And
of
what
the original.
lessons have the studios learned from Predator 2? Well, let's keep trying to remake Predator 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, never go back to the city again. Well, he was in the Arctic in Alien versus Predator.
Oh yeah.
I rewatched Predator and Predator 2, and I had so much fun. I was like, oh, you know what? I guess I'll give Alien vs. Predator another chance. That was 2 weeks ago, and I only made it halfway through.
That's terrible. Well, it's funny because I saw this opening weekend in the theater in like 1990, and I remember calling my brother from the mall, you know, because he was curious. He's like, "What, you know, how was it?" And I was like, I don't know, man. It kind of sucked, you know, compared to the first one. They just like did all these callbacks. Like callbacks really weren't a thing that I can remember being a thing back then. So I was just like, they just like repeated a bunch of stuff from the first ones, like a few jokes, and then like it kind of ended a similar way, you know, with them walking out, you know, covered in ash or whatever. I thought that was too much.
There are callbacks in this movie, but they are so tame.
That's what I'm saying.
Just like
You know,
a couple lines.
in
here
retrospect,
and there.
looking at what cinema has become, those are simpler times.
Honestly, I did like I was like, okay, yeah, they say the famous line, and anything else I didn't even really notice.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just funny that that's what I thought back then.
And this movie was made fun of a lot because Danny Glover, who I will call Donald at some points in this episode, just get ready for it, that good old Danny, they're like, they cast Danny Glover? And it's like, yeah, that's what you do. Well, you want another Arnie? Like another quippy action hero?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to like mix it up and do something completely different. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they did that.
I will admit that he's such a different character.
Yeah.
And he takes his shirt off at one point because it's so hot, and like he's still buff, but he's not walking around with no shirt on. So it's like, because that's not his character.
Yeah.
And he holds his own against a predator, which is pretty cool. But I guess maybe people thought that did they think that made the predator lame because like a New
I can't
York
believe
cop can take him down?
Danny Glover, and there's, you know, some subtext there, could take
Yeah.
on the Predator.
Yeah, but honestly, where do you go from Arnold? What, you want to get, I don't know, who everybody who is an equal beefcake
Exactly.
was in the first Predator.
Well, it's you know, it's like they did with Terminator 2. It's like you can't just get a bigger Terminator. You just go with
Robert
Patrick.
Patrick, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Go with the
I mean,
slimmer
wouldn't it have been
model.
great if Predator 2 was about, like, the Predator teaming up with Danny Glover to take on the other Predator,
And
which
their buddy
was the plot of the original third act of Shane Black's The Predator.
Yeah. That movie was chopped to shit.
We
Oh, my
already did a whole
God.
Patreon on it, but
Oh, did we? I forgot about that.
But just like hearing like all the behind the scenes stuff, it's just like, man, that could have been so much better.
Or so much different. I don't know if it, you know,
Well, I don't know.
it sounds crazier. But like this movie case, the director is Stephen Hopkins, who we kind of brought up a few weeks ago, I think.
Supernova, because we were talking about Lost in
We were talking about doing
Space.
Lost in Space. So he did
That's
Lost in
right.
Space.
Yeah, I think that's why I thought of Predator 2. Because of Lost in Space. And Stephen Hopkins is a director who did music videos, and you can tell when you
okay,
watch
yeah.
Predator 2.
Yeah. It's very,
I think that's always a very good basis for a
Is it?
new director. Yeah,
Sometimes.
look at Michel Gondry, Mick
Ooh,
G.
don't look at Michel Gondry now. There's a reason that he's kind of disappeared.
He hasn't done well, he did the Green Hornet, I guess.
fuck, who else am I thinking of? What about Russell Mulcahy?
Yeah, I mean, I believe, isn't Stephen Hopkins, is he, if not Australian, he's like from the UK? Oh, he's
think so, yeah.
Jamaican Australian.
Really?
Cool.
Yep.
Wow.
So him and Russell Mulcahy definitely have the same style. And Stephen Hopkins, like a lot of directors, he directed, Race, the film about the African-American Olympic athlete right before World War II at the Olympics.
Oh, okay. And then did Predator 2. And then Blown Away, actually. It was the
Oh,
Jeff
yeah,
Bridges
Blown
Tommy
Away.
Lee Jones
Watched.
movie.
Oh,
We
because you
just
listened to the
watched-
We Hate Movies episode?
Yes, but I had never even heard of this movie, and then I saw the trailer and I was like, this sounds amazing. And you know
saw
what?
it in the theater.
It was.
Well,
great.
have you seen was it the Pierce Brosnan, was it a ripoff film, Livewire, where it's human beings exploding?
Oh,
I'm not
I remember
sure,
that.
but that sounds right.
Directed
Yeah.
by Canadian Christian Duguay, who directed, I think, some Scanners films. Yep, Scanners 2 and 3.
Well, all the Scanners sequels were shot here, so of course Canadians directed.
It's a
But getting
requirement.
back to Stephen Hopkins, yeah, he's a director. It's like no one really would say probably they're a fan of his, like Lost in Space.
if
He
you-
did The Nightmare
yeah.
on Elm Street. Nobody really loved The Dream Child.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Blown Away was fun. Predator 2, love it.
He did Skeleton Key, which I've never seen.
Ghost in the Darkness, I never saw that.
Oh, that's a great one. That's Val
I
Kilmer
have-
versus a CGI
yeah.
tiger.
I have seen
Really?
that, but
Yep.
I was too young to really remember it. But we had it on VHS, so we watched it a lot. But I don't remember what happened.
It's Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas, I believe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like two tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
One is
Two
the
tigers.
ghost.
Yeah, Val and Michael. They're two
One is
tigers
the
going at
ghost.
it.
One's called the Ghost and one's called the Darkness.
Right.
I'm not joking. That's true.
Why aren't the tigers on the poster? They're in the title. Like, what's going on
They're
here?
not tigers. They're lions.
Lions, tigers. Oh my.
Oh my!
Oh my.
Just like Gary Busey says in this movie.
Oh, this movie has got such a stacked cast.
Oh, the
too.
cast of this movie is wild. Well, okay, we'll go through it as we go through the plot. The film opens amazingly, where it's
Yes.
like, oh, it's the jungle. Just like the first Predator. Or is it? It's the
Yeah.
jungle of the city, the urban jungle.
It's L.A. actually.
Because the camera
concrete
pans
jungle.
up from the jungle into L.A., and this is a Jerry Goldsmith score, right?
Alan Silvestri.
Alan Silvestri. I always get them
Silvestri
confused.
came back.
Alan, yeah. Did he come back, or did he just drop the cues from the first one
Yeah,
into the movie?
that's what we were wondering. Yeah. But it's still great. It's still a great score.
Yeah, it's such a good score. Oh, it's so good. This opening scene is fucking amazing.
Sorry, Colin. I'm doing lines of coke as I'm watching this movie because it's like the most coked out film that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
coked out and sweaty.
Oh god, it's so sweaty, sleazy. It gives me like RoboCop vibes at times.
especially this opening scene, which feels like it's right out of like RoboCop 3, like the beginning, where it's like the gangs are fighting.
100%. Oh, it's like someone's got to save us, and then
Oh,
RoboCop
yeah.
pulls up.
Or maybe like a Death Wish sequel or something. Because the gang is like insane and they're just spitting bullets everywhere and
this-
like laughing and screaming.
it's so good, but
And
like
they're all
compared to
stylized. They're like, it's the Jamaicans.
yeah, their outfits. Okay, we'll get to it, but my god. Yeah, this scene is fantastic. It goes on so long. It's so chaotic.
It takes forever for the hero of the movie,
To
Glover,
show
to
up.
show up.
And it's just
Yeah.
like one thing after another, and it's just like cars exploding.
I will say this movie kind of starts at an 11.
Yeah.
And there are like a little bit parts where it dips down, but overall it kind of stays like at that high
Yeah.
energy level the whole movie.
It couldn't be any more different than the first movie. The first movie was such a slow,
Yeah.
tense burn. I wouldn't even I don't know, call it really an action movie.
Well, the first movie has one big action scene when
where
they
they take
invade
the
the base, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
All the other incidents are like the
suspense.
Predator taking down the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's more of a mystery, and it's almost like
Yeah.
an Agatha Christie type thing.
Well, now we know
Who
it's
could
the
it be?
Predator.
The Predator.
We know it's the Predator, and we need to see the Predator
It
early.
does take a while to see the Predator in this movie,
Well,
though.
it's like doing the camouflage thing for most of the first.
Yeah, you see it kind of right off. Well, you see it from its POV right off the bat, like
Predator vision. of
before we even
course.
see this action scene. But yeah, it's so cool. And we get the news reporter. No, yeah, I was getting RoboCop vibes here because the news reporter's like, "Oh my God, we're here at a shootout," and then the bullet whizzes past. She's like, "Oh fuck this, let's get out of here." And then you've got Morton Downey Jr., who I don't know if
Looks
you
like
guys.
Jerry Orbach.
Yeah, he's got very large teeth.
I don't know who Morton Downey Jr. is.
He
Like
used
the
to be
name.
a talk show host back
Okay,
in the
that's what I
80s.
thought.
But he's related to Robert Downey Jr.
No.
right? So there's another Downey Jr.
Yes.
that's not at all related.
Yes.
There's some
Okay.
Baldwins out there as well that are not related to the Baldwins, April.
It's the junior part.
Well, yeah, but Robert Downey Jr. is the son of Robert Downey Sr.
And
Morton Downey Jr. is the son of Morton Downey Sr.
Wait, but who's on first?
Anyway, he just had a really sleazy kind of Jerry Springer-esque talk show.
Where is he these days? Is he on some kind? Is he dead?
He's dead.
Okay.
He's
he's
dead.
doing a similar role in it.
His famous thing was he would just yell at people on his show, and he would chain smoke on his show, and ironically died of lung cancer.
Very
Well,
ironic.
maybe not ironically, just, it's you connect things together.
But yeah, he's really funny in this. He's like always trying to get
Occam's razor and
into
everything.
just trying to get into the crime scene.
Yeah, he's got this sleazy.
sneaking in the back.
It's like a new show called Hardcore, and he's always like on the scene trying to get all the juicy tidbits. Kind of like a National Enquirer tabloid TV type thing.
Yeah, so this movie also takes place in the not too distant future.
It's like 1997.
Yeah, but it's like, so there's some future tech, but not a ton.
I love it
and-
when movies are like 5 years from now because they know what they're doing, so they can just be like crazy and all over the place.
Yeah, but it's like we can still use modern day cars. We don't have to build anything futuristic.
Still have gigantic cell phones,
But Danny Glover has a giant laser sight on his
Yeah.
gun.
I think everybody's got. Maria Conchita Alonso has this crazy
yeah,
gun
the
too.
guns are interesting.
Yeah, but you can tell they're just contemporary guns with just sort of additions on them. You don't
Yeah,
have to like.
which I'm down with that.
I'm fine.
I like that as a design choice.
I really love this movie introducing like a new character actor like every scene. You're like,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
that? Who? Whoa, wow, he's
There's
in
a
this
lot.
movie?
We've got Ruben Blades.
Who's that?
That's how his name is pronounced.
It is.
Oh,
It
is
is?
that
Blades?
The
Yeah.
the second in command?
He has been called Ruben Blades by like that's a cool name, Blades.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah,
Blades.
it's not. It's Blades, and it's Maria Conchita Alonso from The Running Man.
The Arnie picture.
Those are the two other team members, Danny Boy, and I forget Maria's name, but
And they're like, we need backup, and backup arrives in the form of Danny Glover.
in a gigantic yellow car. It looks like the Evil Dead car.
He looks just so out of it in this movie. He's like, all right, I'll help you. I need a gun. I need a big gun.
he's so sweaty, and his voice is so raspy.
Yeah.
He's
talks like
always
this
been
in the whole
raspy.
movie.
I'm too old for this shit.
And I have to say, I don't know if it's like the futuristic style or whatever. He's wearing the biggest pants I've ever seen in my life.
Why is it that in future movies you always find that like the 40s came back and they're wearing super high baggy pants and long
got-
trench coats?
There's like pants from like a zoot suit or something.
The further we get in the future, the closer we get to the reality of Dick Tracy. That's just how things
I
go.
said dictator. They did it in Her. They did it in Brazil. It's just
Yeah, I heard
keeps
they've got really
happening.
high pants.
Yeah.
Those are like hipster pants.
Well, those are kind of two different.
Well,
choices,
they
but
got
yeah.
nothing on Danny Glover's pants because
know.
he's a huge tall guy, and those pants must be like a foot taller than me.
I just checked out Danny Glover's IMDb, and this year he made the film with Charles Burnett, a very acclaimed art house director, To Sleep with Anger, and the same year Predator 2. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
I can do everything.
Yeah.
I'm Danny Glover, man. When
do-
did he fall away? Like
Danny Glover?
when people decided, oh, we don't want him to be a leading man anymore.
Well,
That's pretty much it.
I think his biggest role, like that I've seen, is probably The Color Purple. I watched. I mean, seen it before, but I watched it recently.
Well, like biggest
he probably
role,
got it
yeah.
an Oscar.
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, the
I
Lethal
know,
Weapon
but
films.
Blah blah. You know.
Well, you're not a fan of good old Danny Glover and whoever his other co-star is. Can't
I've
recall
never
the
seen
name.
it. Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never
Joe
seen
Pesci is most annoying.
I'm just saying
Leo
he-
Getz. What you want, I'll get.
No, it's great that he can do like kind of action schlock, but also
Mm-hmm.
like dramas and stuff.
I think Danny Glover has also been banished to DTV and Christmas Land as well. Oh, yes. He's on the really famous Christmas movie, The Christmas Train, where he gaslights his employee through the whole film.
No.
Oh my God. Well, he was in Sorry to Bother You.
Yes, he was. He was also in Jumanji: The Next Level.
Is he really?
Yeah. He plays
because,
one of the old guys.
yeah, and the whole joke is that not The Rock, it's the other. Kevin Hart does a very good Danny Glover impersonation for the whole movie. Because the premise is that Danny Glover gets zapped into the game and he possesses the Kevin Hart avatar.
Oh.
That sounds amusing. We liked
We
the
gotta
first
check.
one
Yeah,
well
I actually
enough,
really liked the
so,
first one.
Yeah, I would watch
And while
that.
Dwayne Johnson, he's not much of an actor. He just kind of, he's supposed to be imitating Danny DeVito, and he's just doing an old man voice.
His best
Yeah.
acting was in Southland Tales. And
all right.
I will hear no.
God, we're not going to watch that for the podcast.
Not a good movie. But moving on, in Predator 2 land.
Back to Predator 2.
So Danny Glover, he's a hero. He leans out of his car, firing guns at the bad guys, chases them up into the building.
He backs up and then rips the door off the car
He's
so he can lean out and shoot.
Yeah, but he's cool by being not cool because it's Danny Glover doing all this stuff, just soaked in sweat.
Yeah, he looks like there's like a desperation, anytime he's on screen, and he's not. He has like a one-liner here and there, but I don't know.
Well, do you think it was really that hot?
In Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Sure.
Holy
but,
fuck!
I
Are you
mean,
kidding?
It was when I went there the one time, but like their suits have just like sweat stains
Yeah.
all over them.
like, it's
that's
so
obviously
hot.
makeup.
Wear a t-shirt, guys. Come on,
I
be
know.
comfy.
Well,
That's what I'm
at one
thinking.
point, Danny Glover has to go back to the precinct to change shirts, and then he meets Bill Paxton, who is wearing a suit that he sweated through. Like the pits are just like
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Predator only comes in the hottest season.
Well,
I
that's
love
not
that
true
detail.
based on Alien versus Predator when they have a
It's
fight in the
true.
Arctic.
It's true, but I love that detail in this because I kind of forgot that until it's explained later or by.
I think it's
guess,
said that they
BBC.
like heated places, but it's not, the only place that they come, I guess. Listen,
Well, but I think
I'm trying to defend
No.
Paul
In,
W.S. Anderson's
in the
Alien
first
versus
one, the woman says that they only come in the hottest seasons.
Yeah, but maybe
So-
that's just because that's when it's summer for them. So
I think
they're
just
on vacation.
I think they just like the heat or whatever.
We
probably
all like
hot.
the heat, though, Colin.
It's
That's
probably
where we want to go.
It's probably
No.
hot on their planet.
I don't like the heat.
I honestly watching this. I think I would rather that than what is happening right now with the winter because I'm so
cold?
tired of winter.
My God,
So you've
I
reached
go-
that Canadian part of
Yeah.
that we all do every year when we're like, isn't winter over yet?
At the
Come
end
on.
of February when we actually have at least one more month to go. At
I go-
least.
And you
was
have
like-
one day where everything melts and you're like, is it over? And then the next
smells
day it's like
spring.
giant
Yeah.
snowstorm.
I was out walking in the cold the other day. It was like minus 14 or something, and I was sweating. Like
Well, if you're walking around,
I'm
and
not.
it's
I'm not
sunny-
made for heat.
Yeah, Colin loves the cold. He is like a snowman type figure.
It's true. He walks out, doesn't even wear a hat. Ever.
He's like, that Edgar Allan Poe story of the guy that has to be in the refrigerated room, and if he leaves, he melts.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, the classic Edgar Allan
Edgar
Poe
Allan
story,
Poe's
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
So
Arnold again. Keeps coming up.
Edgar Allan Poe's
I
Mr.
am playing the
Freeze, starring
character from
Arnold
the-
Schwarzenegger.
From the
I'm a
famous
big
Edgar Allan Poe movie.
I named
I
You
just
know who's the
call it
biggest Edgar
Poe.
Allan Poe fan? Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, Jesus
Really?
Christ. Did he want to play him at one point?
Yeah, he wanted to direct, write, and star in an Edgar Allan Poe movie. There's a recent video I saw, and there's a big Edgar Allan Poe bust surrounded by rocky, just junk paraphernalia.
It's in his house.
I imagine
in
that's
his
what his
house.
whole house is like. It's just rocky stuff and
You
paintings.
know it. I mean, you've seen. We just said his name. The third star of the Lethal Weapon movies.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci's house that was on sale, and it just feels like Joe Pesci pinball machines
I have a feeling
and Joe
like-
Pesci posters.
I have a feeling Sylvester Stallone's house would just be paintings of himself.
Well, I mean,
100%.
that and Edgar Allan Poe. Apparently.
No,
And-
himself as Edgar Allan
Oh yeah,
Poe.
you beat me to it. Colin.
Wait, so was he gonna be in an Edgar Allan Poe like story, or it was gonna be?
He wanted it to be
biopic?
like a biopic.
Oh god.
And he's like, John Cusack beat me to it in that action film, The Raven.
Raven, yeah.
Oh, we should do that on an episode. P.U. That movie.
I've never seen it all the way through.
I remember watching it, and I can't remember anything about it. Except I think he just dies on a park
sucks.
bench at the end.
Yes, he does, and that's how Edgar Allan Poe died.
Yeah.
But he didn't have like a big action mystery before he got to that point.
So we talked about Bill Paxton's suit, but his
Well, yeah, we didn't get to the fact that
we
there's a
haven't
big
e-
fight. The Predator.
We haven't even gotten there yet.
Oh, well,
Okay,
yeah,
let's get into the building.
Let's go back. They get to the building. This is the is it the El Scorpio or whatever? El Scorpion.
El Scorcho.
Yeah, so they start like loading
El
up.
Scorcho!
They're like wearing the bulletproof vests and like getting all the guns and stuff, and then the Scorpion guy like takes a big hit of cocaine out of like a gold scorpion, and then he goes.
He like just
crazy.
splashes it in his face.
Yeah,
He's
it's
like,
all over his
"Ah."
face.
Yeah, he like throws it on himself.
And he goes, El Scorpion is ready.
But you know what he wasn't ready for? The Predator.
No.
And then the Predator takes him out. You just see the explosion. Danny Glover's like, "Oh, is there any cops in the building?"
Now, what
go
did
up.
this movie introduce as far as Predator lore goes? I know I watched them back to back. Is this the first movie with like the hook nets that like pin
there's
you to
like
the wall?
so many new
I'm
things.
pretty sure all his tools.
And he has
are
like
new.
that crazy like glaive that's like shing that
Yeah,
opens
well,
up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
and of
like-
course the round discus.
Pretty
thing.
much everything
That's
in
a
the
discus
movie is
thing,
new.
yeah.
I think it only used like the hand claws before, like the wrist kind of.
Oh,
gauntlet
and he had
claws.
like the shoulder-mounted laser cannon.
Yeah, that's
as well.
about it though. But the we don't
it's
see
weird that,
anything
like-
until the Voodoo gang scene. We get all the new stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird that like they created all this stuff for this movie, and after that they're like, yeah, we don't make anything new anymore. And you're like, nothing? Nah, Predator dogs. That's
Predator
it. That's
dogs.
all you get.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Predator
about it.
dogs.
And they're gonna show up twice.
Oh boy. Hey, well, I never saw Predators. There's really nothing new in
Oh
that.
no, nothing. Terrible. Except for Topher Grace going, I like it here on this like murder planet that they're on.
Why does he always play like a
Douchebag.
dork?
Well, supposedly because he's like a sociopath in real life. I think we talked
okay.
about that
Fantastic.
when we
I'm
at some
pretty
point.
sure.
But so all the gang in this opening scene get killed by the Predator. Danny Glover and his team show up. A lot of his team get brutally murdered in the sequence.
I mean, this whole movie is a lot of that.
Not in this.
Yeah, they get shot down, remember? Because they run out and the guy gets kind of like falls out of the doorway and his gang is there and the guy turns and, and he fires his guns at them.
Okay.
And that's why Danny Glover chases him up to the building and he's like, Jimmy Stewart. He's like, whoa, I hate heights.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about his team just being like Ruben Blades and.
Oh,
No,
no,
I mean,
just some
it's way
generic
more.
guys getting
Oh,
mowed down. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
cops are just getting killed left, right, and center in this.
Center.
movie.
and,
yeah.
and gang member again, like everyone's getting
Well, the
killed.
gang members are slaughtered. So yeah, he chases like El Scorpion or whatever up onto the rooftop, and then he's on the edge, like going crazy. He doesn't see the predator, and he falls off. This is where Danny Glover, I guess, gets his only quip. He's like, "Where's El Scorpion? He had to go to lunch." Because he like landed on a like lunch truck or something like that.
He landed on a picnic table.
Yeah, that's right. Next to like a taco truck or something.
Yeah.
Wait, let me take that again. He went for a picnic.
No,
Pick up some picnic basket.
terrible.
I'm a big fan of Yogi Bear.
So yeah, Danny Glover kind of whips around.
Wait, have you guys ever seen the Yogi Bear poster of the new movie?
No.
Where it's
New
like
movie.
Yogi Bear standing behind Boo Boo and the tagline is "Good things come in bears."
Ew.
Oh no!
Ew.
What marketing team came up
Are
with
you
that?
serious?
Yeah, I'm not joking. Search the Yogi Bear poster right now.
Oh, they knew what they were
Oh, they
doing.
definitely knew. Or was it like they release it and they're like, I hope people
Hope
like
there's a
this
backlash.
reaction. Oh, great things come in bears.
Great things come in
Look
bears.
I'm going to send you the photo as we're chatting right now, and everyone at home, look at it. It's even more horrifying than I remember it being.
Oh, that's awful. I mean, awfully funny.
Yeah, I mean, it
Great
scratches
things
my
Come
particular
in
kink.
bears. Oh, that's gross.
So now we're introduced to the team. We previously mentioned Bill Paxton's in this. And what's better than a sleazy Bill Paxton who loves golf?
We haven't mentioned Robert Davi.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because Robert Davi and Bad Man, speaking of Baldwins.
Yeah, Adam Baldwin.
Is it
Adam Baldwin?
Yeah, we're kind of jumping all over the place here. He gets chewed out at the bottom of the building by Robert Davi, and then they seem to be friends. And then we see in the background that it's like a silver helicopter lands, and then Gary Busey and this team of like special agents get out.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but is Robert Davi like the FBI guy, and then above him is Gary Busey?
No, he's like the deputy chief, so I guess he's in charge of all the
Which is weird because there's also like a captain that Danny Glover reports to.
Yeah, but I think the deputy chief is in charge of all the precincts. I don't know the ranking, but Robert Davi's in charge of everybody, and then above him is the DEA. I guess they're the federal. Yeah.
Well, who's the DEA in this movie? Gary
Busey? Well, they're not really the DEA, but they call themselves the DEA.
Special Aliens Unit.
Yeah. Quote, unquote, DEA. They're pretending that they're here to stop the other gang, King Willie's Voodoo gang.
The Voodoo Jamaican gang.
Yeah, which we'll get to in a bit, but they're great. So then we go to the precinct. And you can tell it's like, all right, this guy's a music video director because it has a fucking great one shot.
Yeah, right from
pretty good,
the classic.
Yeah.
We're going into a precinct. We need one long take scene.
It is so good, but there's so many people in here, and it's so chaotic and crammed, and you're just getting these glimpses of like little mini stories going through by all these characters. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
one of the guys looks
See
like
if you can
Ted
spot
Wayne.
the predator. He's in the sea.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh.
That'd be funny if there was like a predator in the background.
No, I thought it was like Kevin Peter Hall, like the actor.
Oh, no. And Danny DeVito as the wise talking cat.
Well, I'm telling you, the camera
Last
goes
Action
by
Hero.
somebody in the foreground, and I swear it's Ted Raimi, but I don't know.
I don't know.
It looks so
Predator
much like
2
him.
is definitely a film that Ted Raimi would be in.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just it's one guy getting interrogated by a cop in the foreground, and he just goes in and out of frame. And he's like, "Oh, come on, man!"
Did you try Googling it?
I know.
Yeah, there's no reference to it, so I don't think he was in
Because
it.
I feel
If
like somebody would have spotted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great shot though.
Pretty cool. Yeah, and I also love that like the lighting in this scene, it's going through like the slats, and it's like the sun is low and it's streaming into this kind of like dusty classic precinct.
That's the signs of a great director, right
yeah,
there.
the lighting looks.
That's
it
like
looks
either a
fantastic.
Tony Scott or
or Spielberg would do that.
Or Ridley Scott or Russell Mulcahy or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very very well.
Spielberg
done.
would do it now. I think every shot in every one of his movies is in front of a glowing light source.
Oh god, yeah, but it's computer generated, so it like looks off.
Not like the old
So
days.
we meet, the team, Bill Paxton, and they're like, we gotta, stop the Jamaicans and the Voodoo gang.
Yeah, this is like Gary Busey is like, we're here to prevent King Willie's Voodoo gang from taking over the whole west coast.
Now, I just want to say I did a little bit of research, and voodoo is not Jamaican. It came from Haiti. I think that there is some kind of offset of Jamaican voodoo, but it felt a little stereotypical. What with the gang
1990s
members.
Hollywood movie making?
Yeah.
Wow, how'd they let that
The
slip
gang
by?
members all have the big dreadlocks, and they're all smoking giant blunts, and they're like,
Oh,
"Come on
yeah.
in, man!" And
Their costumes are
their outfits are a
absurd.
little ridiculous.
Oh my
There's
god!
nothing wrong with a little bit of like over the top campiness. We're going for a bit of a cyber future thing here,
Yeah.
so that was fun.
I mean, isn't the next scene after that the Jamaicans like break into the Colombian drug lord's penthouse?
Yes.
Yeah, while he's making love
Yeah.
to his girlfriend.
This is another
Making
great
love.
scene.
That's not what I would call what was going on there.
Well, it's such an amazing intro to the scene because, like, he has this like kind of glass penthouse on top of this building, and we get like a helicopter flyover.
Not only that, this penthouse,
Yeah.
it has these gigantic columns, and they're
Yeah.
so ornate. I thought we were in a natural history museum.
Yeah, it's like these Mayan kind of like blocks that are like stacked up on
I
this
mean,
thing.
it was a very unnecessary detail.
I mean,
but,
this is like the most late like 80s movie that just came out in 1990.
Yeah,
Like,
There's still that crossover. It was probably shot in like 89 or something.
yeah, because I believe Tango and Cash came out in 1990 as well, which I think of as,
another-
1989. It just squeaked under.
But that's why I love early 90s movies, because they have the spirit of the 80s with the kind of weirdness that came in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So in this sequence, the Predator shows up and kills a bunch of Jamaicans and uses all his nifty tools.
Yeah, this is like what I'm saying. It's like everything new is introduced in this scene, almost.
Dude, the net.
It's got the net. He's got this
That
net
like
shooter.
squeezes, you get a close up of someone's face getting like the net cut through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I likened it to the net from Cube, which isn't even a net. It's more of a metal grate. But it's like, yeah, it like cuts you.
And then it's got these, he's got this little kind of, I don't know, flying trident thing that they
Yeah.
find later. But then
A
he's got
glaive.
this, we don't see that until later though.
Oh, am I thinking of, is it glaive? I'm thinking of the thing from Krull.
Yeah, that's the glaive. That
That's
we don't
round.
that we don't see
Man.
until the end of the movie.
That's a movie we should do, Krull. That movie stinks.
Well,
And
yeah, then
my
let's do
brother loves it. He loves it.
I guess it has his fans.
There's a shot in here that's so funny. It's like the Predator is cloaked and he's stabbing one of the guys with like this extendable spear. The spear is just like 7 feet long, but it's just so funny because the Predator's cloaked and there's this gigantic thing like.
I gotta say,
Stabbing him?
or I should ask Colin about this. These camouflage effects are a little rough.
No, really? No, I thought they were
Yeah,
good.
I wasn't a big fan of them. I always like, it looks a little off, but that's why I'm asking you. And you're
No, I thought they
Professional.
looked great.
okay.
There's ones later that are like, I don't even know how they did them. They're so fucking good.
Wow. Okay, so Colin approved.
Colin
yeah, that
approves.
shot later on in the alley with King Willie where it's walking.
Like
and
on the water and
the
stuff
camera
like that?
is moving and just displacing the water and it's splashing up on its leg while it's invisible. I have no idea how they
Yeah.
did that.
They had a guy in a reflective suit. No visual effects needed.
Yeah, and there was
Boom,
no
done.
CGI back then, so I don't know.
It didn't exist.
What was the
Computers.
guy-
You had to put punch cards in them in 1990.
Who did the Predator?
I have no idea.
No, famous VFX person designed the
Oh,
Predator.
Stan
Yeah.
Winston.
Stan Winston. That's right. Just gonna shout him out.
Well, Steve Wang, my man, was one of the main guys who did the Predator redesign.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It was two guys. It was Steve Wang and I don't remember the other guy's name. And it has like a look that every Steve Wang creature that he designed has, which is very specific.
Well, I haven't seen the first Predator in a while, but this new Predator, or is the same Predator? Who knows? I mean, it looks the same, right? Or is it slightly
They
different?
did make some slight differences. But I'm
seem
not a
to.
big enough Predator fan.
This is one of these, the Predator, I swear to God, after part 2, it gets worse and worse looking with every movie.
know.
But that's the classic, like, Michael Myers' mask never looks right. It's like he can never go home
I
again.
just
That's
don't
the issue.
know why.
Look
you're
at
looking.
Pinhead. I mean,
Well, you're looking at a movie from like 1986, Predator. I think it was
And it's
86
also
or
an issue,
87.
like, I remember hearing, I don't remember what special effects guy it was talking about. It's the one who worked on the Chuck Russell's The Blob. He was saying that he had to do a Chucky movie, and he's like, we don't have the original molds for Chucky. Like, it's really hard to get him to look like he used to.
But my thing isn't just like they just look like shitty plastic in the new movies. It just doesn't matter what they do.
So we don't know why that is,
don't
and we'll
know.
never know.
Yeah, it just looks
cameras
like
are better. Just-
Not slimy enough.
No.
That's why.
No,
it's
it's
slime.
just the
Just
design.
throw-
There's
just
just
throwing
something
it
about
out
it.
there.
It just looks really, really bad. And yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
So after this big action scene where all the goons get killed in awesome ways, the detectives show up. Always just a little minute too late.
It's true. And is it this? This is the same thing where Danny Glover and team like manage to sneak into the crime scene. They're not allowed in, and they're like, okay, well, but don't they like punch the guys out front, and they're just like, we're going in anyway, or some situation like that, because they're like badass cops who never go by the rules, which is part of the charm.
Danny Glover never follows anybody. He's constantly like, I'm going to the building. Even at the beginning, he does it and gets a bunch of police officers killed in the process.
But damn it, he gets results.
And they look around and they're like, what's going on? And I don't think much is achieved here because what happens after that is Ruben, can you say the name, Colin? I'm going to get his name wrong. All I want to say is Bladis. He sticks around to investigate a little bit and he finds the tip of the predator spear, but the predator wants it back.
Yeah, I mean, as we all remember from the first movie, the predator only attacks people who are like threats. I didn't think this guy was much of a threat. He's just like looking around. I guess, but he had a gun on him. I guess he can see that if you have weapons or whatever.
I like that rule that this film seems to imply, which is like, no gun, the predator kind of leaves you alone.
Yeah, well, no, it did in the first movie.
Pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
She had a gun, but she was pregnant.
The predator's pro-life.
Yeah. No, in the first movie,
Well, yeah, that's what I like about it is just like, if you're not a threat, if you're clearly not a threat, I won't harm you. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes the subway scene so great, which is coming up next.
Could you drop your gun and then tell the predator, like, hey, I just don't want to do this anymore, man?
I don't think so. I don't think he'd fall for that because
the predator takes it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that's right. Depends on what mood he is. Yeah. Like, I'm grumpy. I'm going to take you all out today. Skin you, put you upside down. That's such a great thing, especially in like a modern context where he keeps doing it in this movie too.
Oh, yeah. There's so many upside-down corpses in this movie.
The corpse maker down at the effects house is like, oh, yeah, my business is doing well.
Yeah, those always looked great. So what happens after poor Danny Boy gets killed?
Danny Boy. Then we go to he meets King Willie.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
the King Willie.
Yeah, so this is I was just reading about this scene today. Anyway, like he's outside with Bill Paxton and like this big limo covered in like I don't know zebra skin or something.
Yeah,
it's like purple Cadillac
zebra skin car.
You know, and they're all in the back like smoking weed, and then they're like King Willie wants to see you, so they take him to some alleyway. I was reading about this alleyway. It looks fantastic, by the way. It's like it's covered in shit and garbage and whatever. I was reading on IMDb that they said they found a dead body. I don't know if it was the producer or the director, but he said the most disgusting locations he's ever been on were the alleyways in LA when they were shooting this movie.
Oh, boy.
He said they were trying to set up shots and there were just like rats everywhere, and like the apartment dwellers, I guess, were getting sick of the noise and were throwing bottles at them and bags of shit.
God.
Bags of feces, and then they found a dead body in the garbage.
Was it like a homeless person?
I don't know.
Like
it was a guy in an Elmo suit.
Didn't specify, just a dead body.
Oh boy. Well, so not a set, people.
Yeah.
Which is funny that in this scene, King Willie's like, it's a supernatural force that's coming after you, as like bags of shit is raining on him. He's like,
the bags of shit come from the other side.
Yeah, and so he gets his like bones out and like does
his chicken bones that he's like
a little spell thing.
Throwing like dye. Oh, he's trying to see. They're like they're
like fortune telling.
They're like dice. They kind of like let you know where. He's like, it's dread, man. It's dread.
Yeah. So I think this scene might be my favorite part in the movie. Which is, there's a really really good cut where King Willie is screaming, and then it cuts to his open head. Or open mouth as the predator is hauling his dismembered or decapitated head. He's just walking away, and it's just brilliant.
That was funny. That got.
I love the confidence of them being like, "Yep, big fake head, big close up on screen.
Hey, it works.
Like, we're gonna make it work."
The way it was cut, though, you don't register what you're seeing at first, and it's such a good head.
I'd be very curious to know like what the effects process was on this film. If it was very like rock and roll, like we made it up as we go along, or it's like we know very specifically what we want and how to execute it.
I would think the latter.
Yeah, because
I would think so as well, because like the effects are very complicated and very specific, and like the gags that need to be pulled up.
Yeah, there's so many of them too.
Especially like, I mean, there's definitely way more as we go forward into the movie in the second half, but they're all so good, and for there's no CGI, it's all practical. I don't think it could get any better.
So in the next scene, we have Bill Paxton and Maria Conchita Alonso riding the subway.
No, we're skipping over. I'm going to say it's my favorite thing.
Oh.
There's just so many good things. Like I could just name any scene in this movie that's like my favorite thing. They're just so awesome. So I'm just gonna pick one that made me laugh. April kind of took my head cut, but whatever. But we're at the cemetery.
Sorry.
Oh, right.
He goes to visit Danny Boy's grave in
Yeah.
the cemetery. It's during the day, and then a kid's got a gun, and he's
Oh,
pointing
yeah!
remember he's pointing at the Predator? And he's like, bang, bang. The Predator, like, scans him. But I guess the Predator leaves, like, Danny Boy's, like, necklace dangling from a tree or something, and then Danny Glover finds it, and there's, like, this whip pan. He pulls out his gun.
Danny Glover has like the craziest freak out as the camera roll just surrounds him. He's like, ah!
Yeah, he kind of does, like, 4 whip pans, like, right, left, behind, front, up, down.
All with practical camera whip pan.
Yeah, I just want to do, like a super cut and just...
Or it's like 10 hours of Danny Glover freaking out in a cemetery.
Yeah,
It reminded me a lot of that scene in that Kenneth Branagh movie we watched where they kept going to other windows and
Dead Again.
He was in
it's
the
it's
window.
hard to describe.
But
like,
and there's
without
no way to
seeing it.
post that because
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
exist online.
Yeah.
But it was similar to that.
It's similar to that. Yeah, you could just see.
And then we get to the subway where Bill Paxton and Maria Conchita Alonso are just riding on a hot, sweaty day.
Can you imagine how hot it was in the subway in this scene? It's hot enough outside. No air conditioning.
And
Not in
then
1997.
No.
no, I mean, there's no air
97.
conditioning on Montreal subways, and it's brutal if you ride the subway. Is there any in New York? Probably not, right?
no.
I don't
New York.
remember because when I was in New York in the summer, I was in high school. So it was a long time ago.
And you're not allowed to ride the subway. And also, April has no memories of high school times.
No, I'm pretty sure they are. But they're probably the same thing as here. Like every so often you get one where the air conditioning's broken. So it's just hot.
I will
as
just
all
say,
hell.
Montreal, the subways are not only not air conditioned, they're also tiny. Like, they're like
Yeah.
half the size of Toronto subways. What a nightmare those are. Like the nightmare that's about to start at Predator 2.
Yeah, so this scene is really cool because it kind of amps up the satire and the RoboCop-ness of it. Where
Paul Verhoeven is like, I'll direct for a day here, so let's go.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
one guy's getting hustled by street toughs, and he's like, got a book or whatever, and he's like, get away from me, I got a gun. And they're like, oh, you got a gun. And then everyone around them's like, I got a gun too. And they all pull out their guns, which is funny. But this, of course, gives the Predator incentive.
Yeah, what was he just hanging out on the top of the subway?
Yeah, why was he there? I don't know.
Just
The
waiting.
Predator was like, I don't know which way. What, is it 4th Street? Which one am I supposed to take?
No,
is
he
this an
just-
express?
He's just hanging out. He's just like, I'm just gonna wait till somebody pulls a gun,
Just want to see the city. I don't know.
and I can
I
attack.
think the assumption, was he following Bill Paxton because they had been at the crime scene?
I guess so, because you saw him. Yeah, Bill Paxton was like running after King Willie's like limousine, and then I
Yeah, the
think
Predator
that's in
like,
Predator Vision.
what are the odds? New York, a big city, but really a small city, isn't it? We just run
Yeah, I
into
guess
each
he's
other.
following a lead, just kind of like the cops are.
Yeah,
I
so maybe,
guess.
or Bill Paxton's like really hot because he's sweating a lot, and he's like, "Whoa, I'm attracted to hot
And the
things."
Predator's going to the hottest thing. He's like, oh, Paxton's so hot. Just like,
Sweating
he
through
wear
his
that
suit.
mustache in True Lies.
It's true. He's spotted his prey, and he wants him. Because later on, it's said that it's implied that Danny Glover is his new top pick.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, yeah.
And the Predator, at this point, everybody pulls a gun on the subway, and the Predator's like, it's open season.
Yeah,
and he
this
just
is
starts
awesome.
cutting into everyone.
This is awesome. The whole scene is amazing. It's like
Yeah,
so
he-
great. It's just so chaotic. Again, there's just so many people like running around screaming. And
I think it's
shooting.
doing that classic, like, 80s strobe light effect, right?
Oh,
in
yeah,
the scene
yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, but you just get like flashes of the Predator like coming towards camera and like blood spraying and
Yeah, really, really effective. And then you got Chiquita Alonso going, vamos, 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 trying to get everybody
she's
out.
she's trying to get all the people in the subway to like go to the front of the train as
I
the
know.
train is like sparking and like whizzing by.
Yeah, it's really chaotic. And then at the end, she gets everyone out and she decides, I better go back and check it out. And I'm like, no.
He's already turned like the train car into like this slaughterhouse. It's like dead
Is
Yeah.
Bill
bodies.
Paxton like, is there anyone better than Bill Paxton to be like, oh God, man, oh God? I mean, that's what defined him in Aliens.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
that's essentially what he does in this scene too.
He's basically kind of the same character.
Yeah.
He gets brutally murdered. How does he get? He just gets stabbed,
You just
right?
see him
With
dead on the ground, and then later on, when Gary Busey comes back, it's not Gary Busey, Danny Glover. Yeah, you see him getting his spine.
they get
ripped out.
confused all the time. Gary Busey, Danny Glover.
Yeah,
Well, he's walking around like with his skull and spinal cord.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he pulls
It's a great
it
scene
out.
where he's kind of poking around the subway track, and then he sees him getting his like head and spine
Ugh.
ripped out.
So gross.
He's like, oh, Danny. He says,
Oh, I could still save Bill Paxton. He could be. Oh no, his spine's out. I think it's over now.
oh, you can just put that right back in.
And then we have Miss Alonzo trying to check things out, and the predator grabs her, and he starts like clawing at her stomach, and I'm like, oh my God, he's cutting her open. But we see predator vision, and he can see her baby's heartbeat. Which, did she even know she was pregnant? I don't
It's
know.
a boy.
Yeah. So
You know, this never really pays off. Like Danny Glover, like having like a big shirt and he has like a baby stuffed underneath it or something like that.
Well, it also,
when the predator comes in for the
It
kill.
also never pays off. Whereas we don't see her again for the rest of the movie, right? They take her away, and that's it.
Yeah, that's right. She gets on the stretcher and she's
I mean, something. She's alive. Have her come back in the third act to do something. That would have been cool, right?
I think it's because it's the Danny Glover show. It's
Yeah,
all
from
him.
now
It kind
on.
of
I agree.
a reflection of the ending of Predator, the original, which when I watched it, I was like, I forgot the last 30 minutes. There's like no dialogue. It's just Arnie versus the Predator.
screaming.
Yeah, and not exactly the same in this, but it does become the Danny Glover show where it's just kind of mono a mono for a while.
But first, he meets Gary Busey, and Gary Busey's like, listen, brother, you know, we're hunting aliens. That's what we're actually
I
doing.
love his little speech here, and this is actually kind of a little bit of a laid-back Gary Busey. He's not going absolutely nuts, but he still brings like that kind of charm that he brings to every role, where he's kind of unhinged, but he just has this way of saying every line, and you know, he's like, this thing's on safari. He comes in and dumps a bunch of exposition, but it's him, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's fun to hang out with him.
Yeah, just for a brief time before he goes into the
Yeah,
meat locker.
I wouldn't want Gary Busey to be like my roommate or anything like that.
No, I think I'd be.
I could turn into a dog. Woof.
What was that?
All right, so they end up going to the slaughterhouse because that's where the alien extraterrestrial team have found out is the Predator's home bases, or he just keeps going back
that's where
there.
I was kind of confused because like I think they said he goes there to feed, but like I thought they liked the heat, so I guess that doesn't, or maybe that has nothing to do with it. But,
No, they don't go to hot places like buildings. He's just in LA because it's hot. Right?
But also he has heat vision, so he can see people that way.
Right.
He has multiple visions, as we learn in the
learn
scene.
later,
It's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that is such a great reveal where, anyway, but first, Danny Glover, he becomes the kind of like person in the control room for a while
Yeah.
as the I cannot say extraterrestrial.
You just
I
said
said
it.
it. Okay, got it. Woo!
Extraterrestrial.
They have a really fun plan where it's like, we're going to cover it in like nuclear dust so he can't see us and wear special suits.
Yeah, it's really great that their plan just goes to shit like immediately.
Instantly.
They're like, he won't be able to see us because they think he only has heat vision, essentially, which is a pretty big assumption. So they go in and they're like, where is he? Where is he? And Danny Glover's like, very, very alien-esque. He's like, he's right there. And they're like, give me a coordinate. And of course he's on top of them, you know, because the Predator goes
And
down from
it's
on top.
completely aliens because they have like the mounted cameras like aliens has.
Yeah,
And
it's a fun, very fun sequence.
there's like the beep. Isn't there like a beeping kind of alternative? Not exactly, but pretty close.
Yeah, he's looking at the monitor and he can see them. The Predator's coming closer.
And stuff goes to shit right away with the Predator just ripping into all of them.
Yeah, so it's like another slaughter. There's a lot of scenes of him just like killing a bunch of people.
And what surprised me about the scene was that Gary Busey gets killed seemingly by like a blast. And I'm like, that's how Busey gets killed? I remembered it was different than that. That's because he comes back later on.
Yeah, well, he's killed. Well, it's in the same scene, right? Later in the same scene.
Yeah, he comes back because Danny Glover's like, I gotta go take him
Yeah,
down.
so Danny Glover gets in there. our hero.
Yeah, the only person who can take this predator down. If I was Danny Glover, I'd be like, I don't want to get involved with this. This is out of my pay grade. This is a little bit scary.
That's insane.
But he does. He runs into the slaughterhouse, and he just kind of has a mano-to-mano as the predator. Mostly a chase sequence. They never really have a fist fight, do they? Where they're like punching each other?
I don't think so, because how could he ever stand up against the predator? He's like twice his size.
Always remember about this scene is that like they fight forever. This like climax goes on.
It's not
and
even
on
the climax.
and on.
Well, I mean, do you
Not
mean
really,
like
yeah.
after this scene they
Well,
go?
this is technically the climax because like once he meets the predator, the chase is on until the end of the movie.
So Gary Busey gets cut in half is what.
Yeah, Gary Busey comes back up from the blast and he's like, "It's personal," and then the predator's like, "Fuck you," and he just cuts him in half.
Yeah. So is that with the discus? Because
Yes.
it's super sharp, yeah. So which will come important later. So then it's like this weird chase where Danny Glover and the Predator end up in an apartment building.
Yeah, they go to the roof, and then they're on the roof, and they're like, ah, and the Predator's hanging there. And
Yeah.
I almost expected Danny Glover to be like, all right, I'm not letting you die.
Yeah, like
to
pick him
pull
up.
back up.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens. He goes like, fuck you, and he takes the discus, and he cuts the Predator's arm off, and then the Predator goes tumbling down, like bounces off an awning, enters another apartment. He does like the thing where he like falls, and he uses his claws to like connect to the wall,
Yeah.
and it creates like sparks as it happens.
Because like even though we can't see the Predator's face, like you can tell he's been in scrapes like this before. He knows
Yes.
like survival instincts. But what I love about Danny Glover in this scene is that like, okay, he's resourceful, you know? He might not be as big and buff as Arnold, but he can hold his own because he sees that he can cut his arm. And he cuts the Predator's arm off with this thing.
And in any other movie, this would be the end of the picture. You know, Danny Glover wins the day. And I wonder if this was reshoots. It almost feels like it because it goes like...
I don't know.
Even further on, because the Predator, he just falls and he enters someone else's apartment bathroom.
Yeah, I love this scene because...
This is my favorite scene of the movie, where suddenly the film stops so the Predator can give himself a little bit of first aid.
Yeah, so he takes pieces of the wall and then he mixes it.
He like crushes it up, but he also has his own little goo that he puts on his arm to like...
Blue goo, which is like, what is that? Just some kind of healing...
yeah, you got to cauterize the wound.
Yeah, cauterize his wound, which he does, and he's like, "Whoa!"
As Danny Glover very slowly goes down the side of the building.
Yeah, so this is the scene where it kind of seemed like it was taking a very long time.
Yeah, well, Danny Glover, he does have, a fear of heights, so it takes him a while to come down.
Oh, you're right. That was set up.
Yeah,
earlier.
he doesn't. I mean, I guess the scene is him kind of getting over that fear of heights, but that's, it's not like a big deal, I feel like. And it's weird because he doesn't really do it to save anybody either, because it's just him versus the Predator at this point.
Yeah.
And it's just mostly like, I'm not letting him get away.
I liked the scene with the neighbor who's like, you don't want to go in there. There's a predator in my bathroom.
Oh, and then a great one-liner where Danny Glover's like, I'm a cop. And then the woman's like, I don't think it matters, or I don't think he cares.
I don't think he cares. Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, so we end up in the Predator's spaceship in the last scene, which is apparently under this apartment building. Or it's
That's
near
right,
the
because they
apartment building.
go tumbling down an elevator shaft.
Oh, right, the
and
elevator
they end
shaft.
up.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, down
So
the Predator space. It's a long action scene. Like, it goes on and on and on.
So we finally get into the Predator's ship. And we see a bunch of trophies on the wall, including some Easter eggs, right? What do we see on there?
There's an alien skull, which led to just, a whole Dark Horse comic book series. Alien versus Predator. The original version, not the one that ended up as a movie. Can you imagine there were other skulls like E.T. or what are some famous aliens that could show up there?
Like the famous gray aliens, maybe.
No, but like movie aliens. Like, what are some other famous like movie aliens that
Close
it's like, oh my god, the Predators hunted Alf or something like that.
Close Encounters would be pretty good.
Yeah, those are classic grays. I would love if there was some Predator versus them comic books or movies that could come out. But no, it's mostly the alien. That's what everybody remembers. And I don't know what the story behind it is. I feel like it was probably something they just threw together. Like, we need some skulls on the wall. Oh, we'll have an alien skull.
I mean, I think that seems most likely. So Danny Glover is surrounded by all of the other aliens. Well, before that, he has like a showdown with the main predator, right? And he actually ends up killing him, which is surprising because all he does is stab him like in his middle.
So, yeah, he uses like the little disc thing. I feel like there's Predator fans that are listening to us being like, oh, it's called this. How do you not know what it's called?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's really just like a metal frisbee. But it's a lot cooler. It's like the crawl thing, basically.
I'm looking here. So the name of the Predator weapons are the arm blades, claymore mine, combi stick, harpoon, net gun, noose, ornamental dagger, self-destructive device. I thought they would have like cool names.
No, I guess the lore never made it that far.
Shuriken is just the big thing. Oh, it's called the smart disc. That's a lame name.
Disc? No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after he kills the main predator, all these other predators show up out of the mist. And it's kind of cool.
And Danny Glover's like, I could do this all day.
Yeah. But they respect him, right? That's what's happening?
That's right. And they give him a gun. They're like, we don't have any use for this anymore. Here, you take this.
So they're like, we got to get out of here. We got to go to the next hunting spot. So see you later. And so what I'm guessing is like they all like let the one predator like do LA. They were like hanging out in the back playing poker, and they're like, "This is
well."
Your
There could
thing.
be the assumption.
Just waiting.
There could be the assumption. Yeah, that like maybe it's a young one. Isn't that the plot of Alien versus Predator? They're supposed to be like young predators, and that they're training on the aliens.
I mean, I couldn't tell you, but that sounds right. Yeah. So they leave. They're like bye, and then everything's shaking. So Danny Glover has to run out. Like they don't even give him time to leave. They're just like, we're taking off.
Are they just gonna like leave the door like open in the back of the ship?
Wasn't it like closing slowly?
I don't know.
So it's like, get the fuck out.
It's like, okay, see ya.
Yeah. And then he walks out covered in dust. Apparently a reference to the first movie.
Yeah, it's exactly like the first movie. So like Arnold walks out, and then like Adam Baldwin comes down in the helicopter, and he's like, God damn it, we were so close this time.
We didn't mention Adam Baldwin, but he's really not very good in this movie. He has like no personality.
He's barely in it, kind of.
Yeah. Also, which is good because I don't like him. So
yeah, and Danny Glover got the pirate gun, so we know as the Predators have been around since like what, at least 1700s or something like that.
That's a pretty cool
thing. They come back throughout history and they kind of like, adorn themselves like with all the trinkets.
I looked into it. Yes, there is a Predator fights in the Civil War comic. Don't ask on which side. There's also multiple Predators on a boat comics. Robert Rodriguez famously wrote a draft of that back in the day that never got made, like in the 90s.
Like a cruise ship?
Pirate ship?
Like a pirate boat.
Yeah.
A what boat?
A pirate boat.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I like the idea that that's what I like about this movie is it's kind of like continuing the lore where the first movie is a little bit more of a mystery. This is like expanding on it, but not to the point where it is stupid. Like Alien
it's not obnoxious. Predator. It's just sort of expanding the world, like hinting at, okay, these guys have like been around for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys had to fan cast, like, where would you want the Predator to show up if there was like a real Predator 3?
Australia, maybe?
Australia.
Well, there's a lot of big animals there he could face off against. It's hot,
You just want to see the Predator fight big animals?
Well, no, like trying to hunt down people, but then big animals keep getting in the way.
It's like that scene from Wake and Fright where he's hunting kangaroos, but it's the Predator just shooting his laser beam at them.
Sure. I think that could be fun.
That's a fucking...
Yeah, Outback Predator.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, he could fight the most deadliest enemy of all. The Crocodile Dundee.
We got to bring back Crocodile Dundee.
That's not a predator. This is a predator.
So that's the end of the movie. We kind of pull out, and Danny Glover's like, "I'm getting too old for this shit."
He does not say that.
He's great though. Like,
don't worry, you'll get your chance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He says that to Hannibal.
Yeah, it's because like he knows he's coming back. So yeah, I really do love this movie. I've seen it once before, but I think I appreciate it even more the second time. So I think that it definitely benefits from repeat viewings. And I would still like to prefer the first one, but you're right, they're very different movies.
It's different. It's Alien to Aliens, basically. It's
yeah. You can't even really compare them.
They're so different.
Yeah.
I've controversially said I like the second one more than the first, but watching them back to back, I don't know about that. I go with Colin, like they're very different movies.
Yeah, it's hard to choose, and you shouldn't be made to choose.
No.
What's your favorite out of the two of them? You know, whatever. I like them both for what they are. I'm very glad that this did a completely different thing. If it just redid the first one, I think it'd just be so dull. Which is what all the other ones try to do. Like, was it the Predators?
Predators.
Yeah.
The not Robert Rodriguez one.
Directed by Nimrod Antal.
Yeah.
Also, again, Predator and Predator 2, different directors, so they're going to have a different feel. You know?
As they should, which is really good. So, yeah, I would say I like it equal, but, obviously you got to see the first one.
I think you're right. They both have merit, so you shouldn't have
for
to
sure.
choose.
I'm going to start, my new hot take is, you know what the best of the series is? Alien vs. Predator 2 Requiem.
That's the one I've never seen at all.
At least I think it's good. I can't really see it in all this
It's
inky
so
darkness.
dark. I remember my brother,
Yeah.
I was visiting my brother in Victoria, in Vancouver, and he's like, I don't usually get away from the kids and the wife, so let's go see a movie. And I'm like, oh, there's, whatever. I gave him a whole list of movies. Let's go see Alien versus Requiem. This is what he tells me. Alien versus Predator Requiem. And it was so bad that we didn't speak on the way home in the car. I didn't speak to him.
Wait, so you blame your
I was
brother?
so angry for him choosing this movie.
You shouldn't have given him the power to choose.
No, he's like, oh man, let's go see like an alien movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right.
But I forget what I was going to say. So
It's time to wrap it up.
yeah, this movie is available on Disney Plus in Canada.
So bizarre what's on Disney Plus in Canada.
That's where, as we were saying, probably just in Canada. And
It's on Hulu in the
I'm
States.
guessing in the States it's Hulu.
Yeah.
I think all the Predators are on our Disney
They
Plus.
must be, yeah. All the Fox movies.
So yeah, definitely check it out. I'm sure you can rent it on iTunes as well. And if you want to email the podcast, we're at nosuchthingAsABadMovie@gmail.com. And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/nosuchthingAsABadMovie. And if you're on the $2 level, you can be submitted to a draw to pick a movie for our listener request lottery. And for people who don't understand how it works, all you have to do is be a patron at the $2 level and up, and I will pick the winner. So that's all you have to do, and I will let you know, and then you can pick the movie. And if you're on the $5 level, you get a bonus episode every 2 weeks. And next week, we are releasing an episode on one of the Best Picture nominees. I'm not going to say which one. And if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can find me on Twitter at DeClueJ and on Letterboxd at Justin DeClue, DECLOUX.
You can find me on Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's it for this week. I hope that things start warming up here, maybe as warm as they are in Predator 2. I don't
No, I don't want a predator to come. That would just
Right, you don't want a
add to
predator
our
to come, but I
problems.
might be sweating through my through my suit jacket.
You're going to have to wear 2 suits.
Yeah, 2 suits.
I'm with Colin. I prefer the cold to the heat.
You guys are wrong.
No, I like a good midway, spring and autumn.
You're right. Those are the best, but I definitely
those are the
prefer
best.
summer. I'm April Atmansky.
I'm Justin DeClue.
I'm Colin Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.